I fiddled with a diamond engagement ring on my left hand, twisting it and turning it until my sister, Dee, short for Delilah, yelled at me to stop. I'd been doing it a lot lately, and if I'd thought she wasn't paying attention, clearly I was mistaken. "What is wrong with you?" she asked. Her long auburn hair, which matched the color of my own, swished back and forth in her ponytail as she stopped filling a cupcake pan to stare at me. Dee always wore a ponytail high on top of her head, insisting that it never gave her a headache. But every time I tried to copy her, I got tension aches within the hour. And even though we looked so much alike that people often mistook us for twins, she looked sexy and sassy with her hair that way, whereas I looked childish, like a preteen cheerleader trying desperately to look cute. "Nothing. Why? What's wrong with you?" I snapped back, tugging at my two braids, pretending to be reading a recipe that I already knew by heart. She propped her hip against the counter before scouting the few tables and chairs inside the bakery walls. It was currently empty, and she gave me an almost wistful look. "Your wedding is in 5 weeks, she said, as if I didn't have a countdown going on my phone, on every calendar, or in my splintering heart. "I know that," I said, twisting the simple diamond ring again. This had nothing to do with the ring, and everything to do with the guy who had given it to me. Or maybe it had nothing to do with him at all, and everything to do with the girl wearing the ring. Dee and I had grown up in Lake Bliss, a tiny mountain town in the hills of California. Whenever most people thought about California, they usually imagined Los Angeles, San Diego, or San Francisco. But over the last 5 years, Lake Bliss had changed from a small tourist town, only visited by regulars each year, into one of the most coveted places to vacation and buy property, if you were lucky enough to come across someone selling, which used to not happen often. Lake Bliss had always been a diverse community, where families who'd originally moved there ended up never leaving. Their kids stayed and raised their families, and so on and so forth. Houses and land were passed down from generation to generation, rarely falling into the hands of a stranger unless there was no family left. And even then, the property was usually snatched up by a local. This didn't happen from a standpoint of greed, but more of an old-school preservation state of mind. Blissons, as the elder townspeople affectionately called themselves, didn't want to see Lake Bliss change, and they fought hard to keep it the way it had always been, idyllic and basically hidden in plain sight. That all changed after an article in a magazine talking about California's best-kept secrets, named Lake Bliss as its #1 hidden gem a handful of years back. That publication turned our little town on its head. We were overrun the first year after the piece came out, completely unable to handle the number of tourists who had suddenly flocked here overnight, wanting to stay the weekend and purchase vacation homes. There weren't enough motels for them to stay in, not enough restaurants for them to eat at. What had been serving our community perfectly for the last 100 or so years had come to a screeching halt. If any of us Blissons had thought that the surge would die down after a couple of seasons, we were dead wrong. The magazine had given way to numerous blog posts and online travel articles. Lake Bliss was suddenly on the map with no plans of leaving it.